Hello, hello, hello. It's 5 o'clock New York time, and you are here for Radio Free Wall Street. And I'm glad you're here. We have got a lot of things to talk about that Wall Street's kind of like don't want you to know. Oh, no. Could it be that mutual fund managers don't want you to know that they got chock full of shit debt that's not going to pay back? Do you think they want you to know that they got caught in the currency because they thought the dollar was going to dive, and now the dollar's growing and growing and leaping? But here's a really good one they're not telling you about. Yep, they got your retirement fund chock full of shit. Oh, no, not that. Damn, Sam, it's really bad. Okay, let me explain. The whole name of the game for Wall Streeters is yield, 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 okay? What fund shows the most yield? They get the most popularity. They get the most money pumped into them. And no one asks, well, how did you achieve this yield? For example, you may not know it, but a lot of retirement funds are chock full of soon-to-default debt from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico Electric Company's been in trouble for years, paid really high prices. Well, what they didn't tell you is that they bought the shit out because it enhances their yield. See, they buy a combination of paper. And they got that chock full of shit Puerto Rican stuff. The problem is, yeah, they're about to default on it because after the hurricane blew through, that went bad is going bad. Now, there's another example of that, and that is Venezuela. Before sanctions were put on Venezuela, the economy was getting very bad, very ugly, and they were paying extremely high price. So you'll find that a lot of people that think they're going to retire to a life of leisure, it's the tent from the Walmart store parked in the bin, pitched in the vent in the park, okay? Yep, tent in the park, and it's not going to be romantic. And that is because the retirement savings have been squandered on a lot of shit. But here's the big one. You got the big kahuna. See, those guys, remember, they've been given more money than brains. It's amazing to talk to these managers that got $15, $20, $50 million to place, okay? And remember, it's all about the yield. Well, sovereign debt is one of the best ones, okay? If you give money to debts of countries, that usually has a higher credit rating, doesn't get as much scrutiny, and if you can find a country that's in trouble before it's in trouble, if you know what I mean, and buy the debt when they're paying high before everybody realizes it, well, then you get like a free ride until the crunch comes. Well, I'm here to tell you about the crunch, about a little place called Argentina. Great freaking steaks. Oh, my God, okay? Buenos Aires, what a beautiful city. Incredibly beautiful women. If you're into wine and that kind of thing, about the best in the world, okay? There's only one problem. You got the Argentinians there. And every 10 or 15 years, they manage to wipe out, and they're due. They're wiping out as we speak. Oh, by the way, it seems like that coincides within 6 months or so of U.S. entering into a publicized recession. So I'm here to announce to you that we have a Latin America debt crisis on steroids, and nobody's talking about it, okay? We're talking about, Kim Jong Nunchucks. Who gives a shit about that asshole, okay? I mean, let's talk serious. And no, Iranians, yeah, They're not going to have any nuclear weapons. Look, they're part of the nuclear family. They're part of the rocket club. But, this is just a publicity stunt. And I promise you, I didn't want to get into that tonight, okay? I'm sure you heard enough from me and everyone else about our opinions about where this is going. We'll have to see how the sanctions unfold. They unfold over 6 months, by the way. So, we should say there's a lot of movement, kind of like the steel sanctions and kind of like the coal, great again, and kind of like renegotiating so no cars come from Mexico and all that. And don't forget the wall. So anyway, let's talk about Argentina. Got a problem throughout Latin America, and it's been growing debt. Now, Venezuela, believe it or not, was a powerhouse at one time. Okay, under Chavez, man, they drove an economy down there. And now Chavez, literally a bus driver that Chavez handled to be his personal driver, now is president. He'll say, what? Yeah. Now, he knows that you put 5 cents in a little thing there, but he doesn't understand how it all works, I push the long pedal, the bus goes, and I follow this little map route to know where I'm going. Okay, now you're president of a country. That was not smart, guys. So the problem is Venezuela, as you know, is in the middle of a debt wipeout. Oil exports have plunged but leveled off. And now you have a human refugee crisis of 1 million people in Colombia. Colombia's economy has gotten tough because its main business is, well, if you want to believe coffee, is the cocaine trade. There's a little problem. Mexico's moving in on that, and then you got the problem with stepped-up enforcement, so Colombia's in trouble. Now you got another little country there called Brazil. Brazil's kind of an amazing country, but it's still basically an agricultural economy. And with soybean prices crashing, and their other cash crop, sugar, by the way, is another one, they're in trouble. Now you go around the horn there, and you've got this other little country called Mexico. Well, the problem in Mexico is the socialists taking power. The drug dealers are reigning, and despite all the bullshit, business is failing in Mexico, okay? Manufacturers are having a hard time. The United States government's clamping down. There's a trade war is looming. The hotels are in trouble with the bookings because, you know, when you shoot up the guests, it's kind of hard for referrals. And it doesn't look good on the postcard. Hi, here's my Mexican vacation. Oh, here's Mommy being dipped in a tank of acid, and Daddy's been kidnapped, too, and they want $100,000 for him, or they don't care. And Sister, well, she's got a job. Not sure what she's doing, but she says she can't quit right now. So we're just moving into this whole Latin America debt wipeout. And there's another piece of this thing that they're not telling you about, and that is that these countries have massive amounts of debt. Massive. Massive. And they pay very high interest rates. But the problem is it's tied to the dollar. Yeah, I didn't mention that, right? And the dollar has been zooming because U.S. is paying very high rates on a government paper. You can get U.S. Treasuries the best in the world, and the highest interest rates in years, 10 years or more, and you got to buy dollars to do it. And that means dollars been climbing in value, and that means, those other currencies have been falling. So that means that they have to pay in dollars, buy in dollars, trade in dollars, and they got to get dollars. Well, the problem is that dollars cost more, so that again makes the debt more expensive to finance, right? And there is the heart of the crisis. Now, we got a problem with Venezuela's central bank has driven rates to 40%. Yeah. They issued a 100-year bond. Yeah. Yeah, you got to love that 100-year. And they got another trick. They have got to get IMF and World Bank funding, and not with a lot of fanfare, they are now trying for a bailout. So we've got a Latin America debt crisis all over again. It's going to spread like a raging forest fire. It is going to be very ugly. And unfortunately, it's going to cost you money, because guess what? Because that debt pays such a high rate, U.S. fund managers, especially the ones playing the retirement game, have got that stuff stuffed in your retirement account up the wazoo. And what they're not telling you is that another Latin American debt crisis looms large on the radar screen. And what they're not telling you is that there's no bailout in sight, okay? There's no way to make all that work. There is no way to solve all the shit debt that they bought there that is chock full of people's retirement accounts. So what I need you to understand is there is a looming Latin American debt crisis because U.S. banks have also joined in the fund, and they're chock full of shit loans in Latin America that's going bad wholesale. Now remember, when you're talking Latin America debt, you're almost exclusively talking debt that is somehow tied to commodities. Okay, there is some manufacturing there, but normally that manufacturing is by nationals, and that the participation in that debt is not usually held by retirement funds or the big U.S. banks. But the commodity loans on coffee, oh man, yeah, loans on agricultural products, up the wazoo. And now you've got a problem in that all those chickens are coming home to roost. The economies in these countries are fading fast. And we're about to have what we call Latin America contagion, and that is where the debt crisis is very close to spreading. Was talking to a friend of mine on the floor, and he's going, we're seeing the handle grow across the board here. Now, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt to prove it, so I can tell you that Latin America debt is very dicey. Not a lot of places to go with it. You're kind of stuck with it. And there's not a lot of flexibility in the economies. And there's not a lot of cash reserves in any of the central banks. Any, like in none. So now what we're doing is we're moving into a recession globally with commodity prices sinking. Latin America has got no cushion. And they forgot to tell you they're about to wipe out again. IMF has already got a specialist team on the ground. I am told that negotiations are in secret. I am told there's a great big hole to plug. That's a quote. Okay? And that a lot of water is going to leak out. I can tell you that this is one of the best kept secrets on Wall Street. Your mutual fund manager doesn't want you to know kind of thing. And, who's been swimming naked in the pool? Well, there ain't a person in there with any clothes on. There is no cushion against a wipeout. There is no excess cash in the system, and this thing is a hop, skip, and jump from spreading. So you have been warned that the next little gift of the banker is about to come. And his little gift is going to be ugly shit indeed. And I am told that the big players are already ordering their desks to report all positions. I am told that the overnight market is coming nailed shut. And that we are about to have another great big Latin American debt crisis. Remember that last time. Now, Mexico's got a real problem. Their industries are suffering already under the pressure of the border, under the pressure of coming sanctions. Car companies are now being very careful about not moving production to Mexico. Several multi-billion-dollar plants, by the way, are, should we say, postponed. And I can tell you that people just don't know what the hell Donald's going to do. This latest little doohickey with, maybe World War III starting in the Middle East with his good friends, the Iranians, and putting sanctions there has got a lot of people worried. A lot of people are telling me that they just don't understand where he's going, and they don't understand how this is all going to work out. So it's very, very difficult for them to plan strategies. It's very difficult for them to know which way is up, so to speak. And now, if you're adding to that the fact that there's a debt crisis building, why do you want to roll in there? I mean, what is your incentive to play? And the answer is there is none. There is none. There is no reason why you want to go down there, and there is no reason why you want to take a incredibly big market risk. And the other problem is that the dollar is, in the past since February, has soared in value. And I can tell you that the foreign currency market's in uproar. We've had big moves in the euro. We've had big moves in the pound. But we've also had big moves in the real. Russian ruble has sunk in value. And all of a sudden, people are there and they're going, oh, shit. My debt exposure is increasing. I've got a big crisis in how we're going to finance. And now my cost of paper is skyrocketing from three things. One, the currency devaluations against the dollar is colossal and mounting, okay? That's going to form another international debt crisis. Number two, U.S. interest rates are soaring, and these guys trade at a premium to U.S. rates, right? Let's see. Do I want to buy U.S. government treasuries or dog shit Argentina bonds that have wiped out every 10 years for our lifetime? Duh! And you're paying the same rate. Well, you got to give me a premium. Who loves me? You got to pay me more. You got to pay me to take the risk. And the problem is that that's just at the time they have less money to pay with. So you can see how these problems will magnify very quickly and blow out of control. And you need to be clear here. This is not a maybe. We are headed for another Latin American debt crisis. We already have Argentina debt on the early default list. There's also some question on peso debt. There is Venezuela debt already is rated default, by the way, by everybody that knows anything about it. And you've got Colombia, which is falling not far behind. And, you know, what happens when the Brazil and all the biggies start going down? There's a lot of commodity debt out there. And there is a lot of exposure. And remember, a lot of U.S. banks, you know, well, we're not going to emerging markets. I'm sure you got the broker telling you about the wonderful opportunities in emerging market debt and all that shit. Well, why was he so kind to do you the favor? Who loves you, baby? You really believe that? I got your back. Right. Wall Street's got your back. So let me ask the question. Who is going to get shitted on first, okay? Wall Street's going to take a hit in their accounts, or are they going to hand the wipe out to you? Listen, I've been at this a lifetime. They will make their problem your problem every time, absolutely, positively, unequivocally, and they will laugh about it as they put the wipe out in your account. And they got all kinds of sleazy tricks and ways to do it, and it's time to wake up and smell the coffee, because that's just how the game is played. I didn't do it. Don't be mad. Don't shoot the messenger. But if you got your money tied up in funds, and they're not safe, secure U.S. government securities, and it's in a stock fund, it's an emerging market fund, it's in a high-yield debt fund, you are screwed. You are dead meat. You're going to be bagged and tagged, rode hard, put away wet, and they're going to laugh as they wipe you out. So you have now been warned. By the way, this is going crazy. There are 40% overnight rates. They just issued a 100-year bond, okay, trying to get, by the way, World Bank backing on the damn thing. And you sit there and you go, boy, I have seen this song again, okay? The real is plunging in value, by the way. The peso is plunging in value. And I really don't see any relief in sight. I want to be very clear here. This is like ugly, ugly, ugly. And when I get this ugly, I get very nervous. So you have been warned that another debt collapse wipeout of Latin American debt is on the table. By the way, a lot of third world country shit debt is plunging. Let me talk about another one. Well, you know, Africa's like kind of the dream country, and it's a new emerging market. We got Zenit Bank that runs ads until I want to puke, and they're talking about what a great place it is, and come down here and have bushmeat, all that. They are absolutely in a shithouse mess. They're absolutely going broke. They absolutely don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And now you have a blooming African debt crisis starting from South Africa, okay? The mines are in disarray. The economy is not functioning. And it is about to suck shut. So, you need to understand that. Let me explain. There are very delicate balances in spreads in markets, okay? And the spreads in interest rates. Any change in that, despite all the bullshit by the Fed, well, we're going to go quantum easing, and we love you, and we love you, you love us, and we're going to do this nice and easy. Well, like the old song goes, we don't do nothing nice and easy. You got the Fed going to raise rates 4 times this year by 2%. That is an earth-shaking number. That is the destruction of the universe. You've got a dollar that is soaring in value against a whole host of foreign currencies. The dollar index has gone from 88 to 93. That is a huge move. You've got the pound that's getting pounded. You got the euro that's getting the shit kicked out of it. Now, these are major economies that can stand this. Now, when you start moving this shit around to Latin America, and you start moving this around, damn, Sam, you're in big trouble. To Latin America, and now you've got the African debt crisis. Remember, banks, in a lot of ways, got PC'd into loaning a lot of money to Africa, okay? Emerging markets, underprivileged people, we did nasty things. You know the drill. Obama certainly was a champion of that. And now the problem is that debt's going bad wholesale. So we are now in the realm of, because of three factors, I'm going to repeat them to you again. First and foremost, the core debt in the world is U.S. government debt. That sets everybody else's debt. Don't let them shit you. U.S. is raising rates at the same time that Europe cannot raise rates. Why? Because they are still in their wipeout. We're into the second wipeout. They never got out of the first one. Now you've got a debt crisis in Africa, and that's been growing very quietly, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Many major African banks are in big trouble and have been looking for money. I can tell you for a fact. Now you've got Latin America, and Mexico has been putting on the brakes. Mexico's been in trouble. The peso's been getting trashed. Obviously, with Donald Trump talking about sanctions, people get nervous. Now, if people were nervous about sanctions as they watch the Junebug Eddie number he's doing with Iran, people are going, oh, shit. Mr. Bill, we got a problem. Look, even the Canadian dollar has been plunging in value. Are you hearing me? You got an enormous dollar rally on your hands. You got an enormous increase in U.S. interest rates for the premier debt in the world. I'm talking to you a lot about the carry trade. You know, you buy your debt in your local country, satisfy everybody there. You borrow against that debt 100%. You go ahead and borrow U.S. debt. Even by the time you get done hedging, allowing for currency movements, you're making a fortune. You're looking at 200 basis points. These guys die for 25. You're making 200. You don't have to get out of bed. You seem like an Einstein. Holy shit. That keeps the job going a little while longer for these guys. So we are moving into the realm of a Latin American debt crisis on top of what's already an African debt crisis, on top of U.S. raising rates, and don't let them shit you, a major slowdown and recession has already started worldwide. Now, I haven't even talked about Chinese debt, right? That's just another boogeyman that's in that monster core there, right? Like the Night of the Living Dead, did zombies come out of the grave? Well, Chinese debt is another one to get in trouble. And remember that at least China, you got an export powerhouse, okay? You got a cash-generating machine. You got a manufacturing base, okay, that won't quit. You don't have that in Latin America. You know, in Central America, you're still banana time. In Mexico, you know, it's still tacos, burritos, automobiles, and cocaine, marijuana. And that's kind of hard to fund your national debt on that. And that's really where it's at. Another thing, okay, let me tell you another little secret. You ready for this? You know all those nasty, wetback sons of bitches that want to rape our women and steal our jobs and blah-de-blah-de-blah? Well, the reality is that the Latinos that come to America, that's mostly our immigrants, okay? It's not that way in Europe and America, are really hardworking people. They'll take any job. And despite the bullshit and the hatred of fostering, these people do not want to see a policeman. They do not want to be in a fight. They don't want to be in a bar, okay? Because they know that it's a trip back to the hellhole and the gangs of Central America and the drug dealers, okay? And they know that once they come back there, the drug dealer knows they got family in America, really easy to get them to do nasty things. They understand America. They got language skills. They know the street signs. You get what I'm talking about. But the other thing is that these people that come to America, they work really hard. And there are a lot of businesses in all kinds of industries you wouldn't think of, including agriculture and the hotel business. And then there are a lot of people that are in basic manufacturing. There are people that, like, for example, fishery industries, you know, where you've got to pack seafood and all that. They rely a huge amount on the Latino community there, both mojado and otherwise on permits. Well, that permits are coming through. Now, the other thing about these people, listen to me carefully. They really, 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 really love their families. They really, really, really are not all gangbangers, drug dealers, rapists, okay? You got loser boozers like everyone else, and the percentage is a little bit lower, the same as everyone else, okay? The vast majority of them work really hard. They bunch up together to save money. And why do they do that? You know, you've seen, you know, if you've been around Latino houses, a whole lot of people, right? Every time we open the door in a room, somebody pops out. Well, that's because they're all pulling together with the big pot of beans. Everybody throws a little money in there. Everybody brings a little meat home. Everybody brings a little something home to contribute to it. And the reason why is these people send a vast amount of money back home. Huge amounts. Okay, now I can tell you that in Central America and Latin America, the leaders I have talked to are shitting all over themselves. Why? Because of renditions, the amount of money coming back, that's our hard currency reserves. In some of these Latin American countries, the money sent by illegal workers from America represents their foreign reserve currencies. I mean, it's a huge part of their economy. They aren't getting that. Now, what? Now, okay, well, I'm not going to talk about right, wrong, bury the state, kill them all, shit, machine gun. I don't really give a shit, really. If America wants on their conscience, I just think we ought to, let's stop screwing with them all. Let's just set up machine guns, killer robots. Let's gas them, shoot them, burn them, light them on fire, burn the bodies. I don't really give a shit. Okay, whatever crazy conclusion we'll come to. The problem is that American industry is losing a source of low-level, low-pay, productive worker that helps subsidize your shrimp and your asparagus and your lettuce and your lifestyle, okay? Keeps your hotel room clean. Probably you got them hitting the nursing home taking care of your mom and dad, and they're all around you, okay? They're mowing your lawn and painting the house, and you goddamn well know it. Okay, now the other thing is that you got these people who are moving out. We don't have the flow of people here. Now, remember how I talked to you about how this rendition of money is critical to these economies? It's vital. That cash is not coming in. So now you have got a higher and higher number of unemployed people who are not escaping. See, the escaping valve is you're young, you're energetic, you know, you got no job, you ride the beast. That's the train through Mexico, and then you get to the United States. Then you work your butt off, and you send money back to mom. And a lot of times these guys and girls have family. They leave the kids with the grandparents. And there's a whole economy built around that, okay? Well, it's not existing anymore. Now you've got no dollar reserves coming to the country, which is like a big export business. You can imagine that. Now you got these kids that used to come here to work. They're there. They're gangbanging, stealing. They're not producing. They're destroying. Now you've got the threat of sanctions. Businesses afraid to invest in the export market. Because let's talk straight. There's not a whole lot of things to invest in Latin America that's going to make you money. Okay, so what you're basically doing is taking advantage of resources of both materials and, for example, wood or food processing, okay, and the ability to sell into the U.S. market at a cheaper labor coefficient. Well, now you've got U.S. demand falling as we're in a recession. Commodity prices are dropping, in case you haven't noticed, Mr. Greenjeans. I think you do know. And you've got the borders being clogged up. People are not coming in. They're not sending money back. And you got a Latin America debt crisis. You see, little shit things that a brilliant man like Donald Trump, what does Donald Trump know? You break their legs in New York. You get the oligarch here. You get him laid. You get him fed. He buys an apartment. You run the money through. You know, that kind of thing out with his problems. And everybody's happy. That's your experience. But understanding international, believe me, that ain't the game, okay? Every international project he's touched is screwed up. I've been to that goat rope mess he's got over there at Aberdeen. It's really it's pitiful. So don't let him shit you, Mr. International Businessman. Yeah, right? I don't give a shit. Believe whatever fantasy, you know what? You listen to me. I've done argue with you about Donald Trump. I don't give a shit. Believe whatever fantasy you want. When he wipes you out, send me a postcard, okay? That's if you got enough money for the stamp. So anyway, what's happening is this Latin America crisis is based on massive debt, commodity prices falling, questions about access to international markets, lack of your citizens in these countries sending money back to mom and dad, which is critical. Because remember, all those dollars go to the central bank, okay? When you send back that Western Union or that MoneyGram, they don't give you dollars. They give you, that money goes directly to the central bank. Central bank converts it to local currency. I think you can put the pieces together, okay? And so that's a huge amount of money. In many of these countries, like I said, that is their huge source of reserves. So you've got the shit. Now you got a U.S. in a recession. You got the U.S. dollar soaring, which means that your dollar-based debt. Remember, anybody goes down there and loans money to these people, I'm telling you, I know many bankers that do that, okay? It's dollar-based. You're going to pay me in dollars, and if you ain't got the visas, you ain't got the dollar, we're not doing business, okay? Dollar gets higher, local currency goes down, and you can put the pieces together. Immigration problems are hitting you now. Export markets are drying up. People do not want to be seen importing. Okay, they don't want to be seen manufacturing because of Donald Trump. You got a mess. And Argentina's already fallen. Venezuela has been a shithole from morning. Okay, it's gotten a lot worse. Colombia's in trouble. Brazil's in trouble. Mexico, let me tell you. The only thing that keeps the Mexican economy going was two things. Lots of Mexicans sending lots of money back to Mexico. Two, the drug trade. Well, the drug trade, by the way, you want to hear this one? You're going to love this one. Part of the problem in the drug trade now is that marijuana was a huge cash crop, okay? I mean, it's called weed because they grow it like weed there. It costs them nothing. It's 100% profit. A little bit of transportation charges, and that's, basically if your mule gets caught, you got to give his mother burritos until he gets out in 5 years. So it's a hugely lucrative business. Well, guess what? The price is falling out of it, and you got the marijuana being grown in America. That is literally a Latin America cash crop that's not there anymore. How do you like that shit? Yeah. So it is the perfect storm. We're having a Latin America debt crisis. We got a dollar soaring against every major currency in the world. Well, maybe not so much against the Japanese yen or the Swiss franc, but everybody else is getting killed. Yeah, we have some trades for that, by the way. You need to bone up on them. And so we are now entered into the twilight zone. Latin America debt crisis and African debt crisis. U.S. interest rates soaring, sucking the money out of everyone else. Dollar soaring in value, making it impossible for them to pay their debts. Remember, international debt in Latin America and a lot of Africa is based in dollars. Now, you want to hear something even really cooler? It's also based in dollar interest rates. So basically, you're getting this a double-edged sword. When they swing to the right, they cut your chest off, and then they swing to the left, and they do another Z on you. You cut and make sure they put you in 3 pieces. Well, the third piece is that you are having to pay back in dollars that are more expensive, and because U.S. interest rates are going higher, and you're based on a matrix of a composition of what U.S. debt is, the interest rate on your debt. So this is cold money. Let me tell you, these guys don't get financed in Latin America for 30 years. That's shit. Okay, 30, 60, 90-day paper. And that is it. So now they're rolling over the paper. It's becoming more expensive. The note in terms of their currency is a lot higher. The interest rate is soaring. Business sucks going down commodity prices. And then you got the problem that there's no money flowing into the central bank. Because why? Well, they threw out all the guest workers. See, this is why you have to be so careful with this policy shit. It's just not that. I wish it was black and white simple. And I used to think that way until I spent a lot of time and a lot of money in international business and in that part of the world, and then I understood. And it's a very dicey world down there. Okay, profit margins are really thin. It's a lot of pieces that they got to get right. And now they're not. And then the hell of it is that Mr. Retiree, hey, I got my high-yield slam-a-bama. See, I got this retirement calculator, and I realized I didn't have enough money, so they're going to pay me 9%. Shit, they can pay you nothing. Okay? So a whole lot, you want to hear the irony is that a whole lot of baby boomers are holding that debt. Now, they may have not been holding that debt last week, but I guarantee you that as these instruments start wiping out, they got a clever way of making sure that your retirement account is chock full of shit, and they're going to make sure that they got a lot of your money. Yep, yep. It says, like, what do you do with the bad deals you do? Well, you put it into, ask your mutual fund manager what you got in there and see if you can't get the straight story, okay? What exactly is my money invested? Well, we're invested in slam. What can you give me? No, we can't. That's trade secrets. Okay, yeah. I can tell you for a fact that I know for a fact, I've seen for a fact managers are, I'm really busy now, excuse me, I got to get my portfolio shifted. Translation, put the suckers in the shit. See, the way that the game goes is the stuff that makes money, they kind of shift into their account, and the stuff that ain't going to make money, they throw into yours. I mean, that's just how it goes, okay? Why would you let anyone actively manage your money? You can't do it yourself? I mean, you go to Treasury Direct, buy your own debt. So, remember these conversations when, now America's be great again in steel and coal, and all this bullshit comes home to roost, okay? The tax break bonanza for billionaires and factories coming to America, that shit's not happening, friends. That is not happening. And the economy, global economy is shutting down. We just had a huge drop in the English real estate prices. Yeah. We're starting to get all the recessionary shit around the world, okay? I can tell you that German exports are plunging. So you have been warned, and now you understand that when they, 6 months from now, go, oh, yeah, you were that Brazilian bond too fund? Oh, shit. I'm really sorry. If there's anything I can do to help, I mean, yeah, we'll probably get 10 cents on the dollar. Oh, you were in Venezuela debt that we bought last August when it wiped out. It went so high. They actually did that. I was there. Venezuela debt's starting to wipe out, so they did a tranche at extremely high rates. Goldman Sachs for a fact, Morgan Stanley for customers, Blackstone, Fidelity, they bought the shit out of that stuff. Now, for some reason now, they don't want to talk about it, but they did. I saw them do it. Okay? Now you got this Argentina shit. Let me tell you. Some idiot bought 100-year bonds from them. They're not going to get your money for 100 years. Shit. But this is the game that's going on. And this is the twilight zone. We're entering into a recession. Now, the secret about a recession is the dumber you are, the longer it takes for you to figure out. And that gives the smart money that gets there first to dump all the losing shit in your portfolio and get all the good shit in their portfolios to go to cash. Now, if you're with me, you've already gone to cash. And you're now locking in really nice rates on your highest rates in 10, 15 years on a lot of paper. You're going to be really jumping and doing joy when that long-term paper I have in you buy, rates go higher and your paper becomes more valuable. And on the short end, the rates are going to do a moonshot, and that means it's going to be inverted yield curve. And I think you can figure that out. That's called a recession, depression, wipeout. Adios, see you later, bye. I'll send you a postcard so you can get a view of your money because you don't have it no more. And that's what's going on here. And you have been warned. And Argentina is just another one of a whole lot of shoes to drop. Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, all in deep shit, all currencies plunging, all rates skyrocketing on their short-term debt, and a lot of U.S. banks and U.S. brokers and U.S. funds are chock full of Latin American shit. You have been warned once again. That's my job. Now, your job is to try to get your bacon out of the fire before it's too late.